really feel the pressure difference in the back tyre. It feels so different now. Flickable. Good evening. Hello, this is my 1999 Kawasaki ZX6R, the G2 model. I picked it up a month ago off of one of my good friends for the princely sum of £400. It wasn't running at the time. It hadn't run for a couple of years actually. He'd bought it in 2014, left it garaged and unloved. Mice found their way in, chewed up all the indicator wire in the back. They also chewed up an HT lead as well, which probably didn't help the fact that it wouldn't start. So to get it back running, I bought a new coil pack. You can't get separate HT leads, they're all conjoined to the coil pack. So a new coil pack cost me £17. I fitted that and it started straight away actually. After a brief hydro locking incident, which I'm not sure I want to go into. Might as well. Basically, I thought I would clean the carbs out at the same time as having the tank off for other things, and hydro locked cylinder number 1, so it wouldn't crank over. I had to, I didn't know it was cylinder 1, I didn't know which cylinder was locked, so I had to take all the spark plugs out one by one, and sod's law, I started on number 4 and then went 3, 2, 1, and it was 1 that was the one that was stopping the engine from turning over. So loosened that spark plug out. It was really difficult to get to actually. There was no way I could have gone out with the tools I had. All I could do was get near enough to it just to loosen it. Loosened it so I knew it wasn't in the thread anymore, and turned the engine over, and it shot out along with a load of carb cleaner shit. I knew that was the one that was the problem, so I put the spark plugs back in, tightened them all up with my new coil pack, plugged it all in correctly, turned it over, and it started. However, it wouldn't idle without a lot of choke, so I knew there was another problem there. And it idled around about 2000 RPM, but as soon as I came off the choke, it was just not staying alive. So assumed to be blocked pilot jets, amongst God knows what else could have happened to it in the 2 years that it's just been stood to decay. I ordered some new carbs. I spent £100 and bought them off of eBay from someone who assured me that they'd come off of a running bike. There are no guarantees. When you're buying used parts from a breaker on eBay, you've got to expect that they're probably not being 100% honest about the stuff that you're buying. But took 2 hours out of my Sunday afternoon the week after and fitted them, and they work. I'm riding now and it's running fairly well. To start with, I noticed it was getting kind of hesitant around the 9 to 12k RPM range in second gear and above. In first gear it didn't really do it, and it's only really with the throttle quite wide open that it does, but it kind of accelerates up to that point, up to about 9000 RPM, and then doesn't accelerate anymore. Well, it kind of does, but it crawls. So it'll accelerate hastily up to that level, and then we'll be really hesitant about going any higher in terms of engine RPM. But once it gets past 12,000 RPM, it's fine again. So I didn't know whether to put that down to a lean condition or a rich condition. I don't really understand. Well, I understand what the two things are, but I wouldn't know what the symptoms were particularly. All I knew is that the engine was still alive. You could tell there was still a spark there, but no power. I assumed it to be lean, because the bike, when trying to do that, did get unusually hot, which is of course a lean condition. So I bought a can of Seafoam fuel system cleaner off of Amazon. Read quite a few good reviews about it. The Americans love it. I couldn't really find it anywhere on any English websites, but I found it on Amazon. It was shipped over within a week, and I loosely followed the instructions. It says to put an ounce per gallon of fuel or something like that, but I just poured in a third of a can, so perhaps a little bit too much, and proceeded to ruin my bike. It ran like absolute shit until I'd gone through a few more fill-ups, diluted it to the level where it wasn't really affecting the fuel octane so badly. But until I had done that, it ran like absolute. It hardly idled. It would at traffic lights it would nearly stall, and I'd have to sit there revving it. I'd have to sit there revving it to keep it alive. It was running really hot, and it was really, really underpowered. At the time, I hadn't really ridden the bike properly before putting the seafoam in it, so I wasn't sure really whether or not it was the seafoam or whether it was just that I got a shit set of carbs. So I gave them the benefit of the doubt, and I rode it for a while. I didn't ride it hard because I didn't want to get it into that rev range and throttle range that was causing it to run really lean. Just until I ran enough fuel out to top it up and dilute the seafoam a bit more. Long story short, it now runs much better, even than originally. The 9 to 12k hesitation is nearly gone. It's still there slightly, but nothing like it was. It was almost like the power was just being let completely off, rather than wide open throttle. It was like you just closed the throttle. It was bizarre. But it still hesitates a bit now, but just only slightly. And I imagine it's something that will probably get better once I blow the cobwebs out, so to speak. I'm riding the scenic route home today and get some nice footage for my first YouTube video. This bike's no harder to ride than a 125, and I say that categorically. As long as you're not a dick with your right hand, honestly, you will have absolutely no trouble on one of these. So don't listen to people telling you that you need to wait and spend 2 years on a 250 and get some experience. Well, you can do that if you want, and undoubtedly you will gain experience by going on a 250 for 2 years, but you'll also probably spend most of that time wishing you'd bought the 600 or the 400 or anything bigger than the 250. Trust me, from experience, that is what you will do. So if you want the bigger bike and you feel you've got the restraint to not be silly, then I would definitely recommend it. You can pick up one of these bikes now, not necessarily a Ninja G2 or something, but you can pick up a 600, like a Bandit or a Hornet or an SV650 for £1,000 or under £1,000. You don't have to spend loads of money. You really don't. Balls, I've opened my shin vent. That's going to blow straight into the mic. Where the fuck is it? Bloody hell. I broke down once there. I was coming down here on my old Triumph, and the stator used to, it wasn't the stator, I guess, that was the problem. It was the regulator rectifier. Used to have a habit of burning out, and then that would burn out and not do its job, which would then overvolt the battery, overheat that, and then basically stop that from working, and then blow the main ignition fuse. And that happened down this road once, and I ended up rolling to a stop outside that guy's house. He gave me a fuse and helped me bump start my bike and sent me on my way. Here we go. Good evening. Fuck you then. Evening. See, he nodded back. I remember when I got my first bike and people started nodding at me. No one tells you about that custom. When you first get your CBT or your bike permit or whatever, no one tells you that people are going to start nodding and waving at you when you ride past them the opposite way. And I wondered what it was all about, but I guess it's just an unspoken etiquette. I wonder if I can make it do the hesitation thing. See? you doing? You getting in or not? Oh, fuck it. YOLO. I wonder if he'll have a go at me for getting in the cycling box.